The Galactic Council's emergency session had been running for 6 standard hours when Commander Seelan finally slammed her scaled fist against the crystalline table. The assembled delegates, a mixture of reptilian draconians, ethereal Vorthak, and silicon-based crystallites, all turned their various forms of attention toward the human liaison officer. "We've searched every moon, every asteroid belt, every derelict ship in this sector," Seelan said, her voice tight with frustration. 3 weeks, and not a single trace of the hatchlings. Elder Vextar, the most senior of the draconian representatives, spread his massive wings in a gesture of despair. His ember-orange eyes held the weight of a species' grief. "The younglings were our future. 7 hatchlings from the royal clutch, barely 2 cycles old. Without them..." He didn't need to finish. Everyone in the chamber understood the implications. The draconian royal bloodline, already thin after centuries of conflict with the machine wars, would end. Their species would survive, but their ancient monarchy, the stabilizing force that had kept the Outer Rim territories peaceful for millennia, would crumble. "There must be something we've overlooked," Seelan insisted, pulling up holographic star charts with swift gestures. Her military training had taught her to never accept defeat, especially not when innocent lives were at stake. "What about the trade routes, the smuggler passages?" "All checked," rumbled Korthak, the insectoid security chief. His mandibles clicked nervously. "Every ship scanned, every cargo manifest reviewed. It's as if they simply vanished into the void." The session was interrupted by a soft chime from Seelan's communication device. She glanced at the display and frowned. "It's from Station Omega-7. They're requesting immediate assistance with mechanical issues." Elder Vextar's massive head tilted. "Omega-7? That's barely more than a refueling depot. What could they possibly need that warrants interrupting this session?" Seelan was already standing, something stirring in her gut. That instinct that had kept her alive through countless battles. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." Sometimes the answers we're looking for are hiding in the most unlikely places. The journey to Omega-7 took 18 hours through hyperspace. The station hung in the darkness like a mechanical flower, its docking arms extending toward the local star's weak light. As Seelan's shuttle approached, she could see the unusual amount of activity around the maintenance bays. Station Chief Halvan, a portly Vorthak whose tentacles twitched with obvious anxiety, met her at the airlock. "Commander, thank the stars. You're here. We've got a situation in Bay 94, and honestly, we don't know what to make of it." "What kind of situation?" Seelan asked, following the chief through the station's winding corridors. Well, you'll need to see for yourself. It involves one of our human mechanics, Karim Abbas. Good worker, been with us for 3 years, but 3 weeks ago he started acting strange." They stopped outside Bay 94, and through the observation window, Seelan could see a figure hunched over a massive starship engine. The human, Karim, was completely motionless, lying on his back beneath the machinery as if he were sleeping. "He won't move," Chief Halvan explained. "Won't eat unless we bring food directly to him. Won't speak. Just lies there, day and night, like he's protecting something. We thought he'd had some kind of mental breakdown." Seelan studied the scene more carefully. Something was off about the way Karim was positioned. His arms were curved around his chest in a protective gesture, and there was something else. A faint, rhythmic movement. "Chief," she said slowly, "has anyone actually examined what he's protecting?" "We tried, but every time someone approaches, he becomes aggressive. Not violent exactly, but he growls and shields whatever it is with his body. Our medical staff couldn't get close enough to help him." A wild, impossible thought began to form in Seelan's mind. "I need to get in there." "Commander, I don't think that's wise." But Seelan was already overriding the bay's security lock. She stepped into the cavernous space, her boots echoing against the metal flooring. The air smelled of engine coolant and something else, something warm and slightly sulfurous. Karim's eyes snapped open as she approached. They were bloodshot from exhaustion, but alert and fiercely protective. He didn't speak, but his arms tightened around whatever he was holding. "Easy," Seelan said softly. raising her hands in a peaceful gesture. "I'm not here to take anything from you, Kareem. I just want to help." The mechanic studied her face for a long moment. Then, slowly, he relaxed his grip just enough for Seelan to see what he'd been protecting. 7 small, scale-covered forms pressed against his chest, their tiny wings tucked close to their bodies. Even in sleep, the dragon hatchling's small claws gripped the fabric of Kareem's work shirt, as if afraid to let go. Seelan's breath caught in her throat. "By the void. How did they get here?" Kareem's voice was hoarse from disuse. "Found them in the cargo hold of a derelict freighter 3 weeks ago. They were cold, barely alive. The ship's life support had failed." He looked down at the sleeping hatchlings with infinite tenderness. They needed warmth. Human body temperature was close enough to what they needed. "You've been lying here for 3 weeks straight?" "They wouldn't survive without constant warmth," Kareem explained. "I researched draconian physiology on my personal tablet. Hatchlings need skin-to-skin contact with a parent for the first month of life, or their neural development fails." He managed a weak smile. "Turns out humans make decent surrogate parents. In a pinch." One of the hatchlings stirred, opening eyes like tiny amber jewels. It looked up at Kareem and made a soft chirping sound, then nuzzled against his neck. "The entire galaxy has been searching for them," Seelan whispered. "Their disappearance nearly caused a diplomatic crisis." "I know," Kareem said simply. "But they needed me more than the galaxy needed to find them immediately. Sometimes doing the right thing means ignoring the bigger picture." As if summoned by their conversation, the other 6 hatchlings began to wake. They stretched their small wings and looked around with curious, intelligent eyes. When they saw Seelan, they didn't flee or hide. Instead, they seemed to study her with the same protective instinct they'd learned from their human surrogate. Seelan activated her communicator. "This is Commander Seelan to Galactic Council Emergency Session. The hatchlings have been found. They're safe, healthy, and they've been learning some very interesting lessons about what it means to be family." Later, when Elder Vextar arrived to collect the royal offspring, he found them reluctant to leave Kareem's side. The ancient dragon studied the human mechanic with newfound respect. "You saved not just their lives," Vextar rumbled, "but their souls. This debt can never be repaid." Kareem, finally able to sit up after weeks of protective vigil, smiled tiredly. "No debt needed. That's just what you do for family." As the hatchlings were gently coaxed away for their journey home, each one turned back to chirp a farewell to the human who had given them life. And in the depths of space, another story was added to the growing legend of humanity's inexplicable capacity for love, sacrifice, and the fierce protection of those who needed it most. The galaxy would remember this. When the future of an entire species hung in the balance, it wasn't councils or technology that saved the day. It was one human mechanic who understood that sometimes the most important job in the universe is simply being there when someone needs you.